Hi, today I'm looking at another Mark Knopfler solo. It's the one from the Dire Straits song called News, which is on Communique. As with all Mark Knopfler stuff, or most Mark Knopfler stuff, certainly everything I've looked at on here, it's going to be better if you can use your fingers with the right hand. If you can't and you need to use a pick, that's fine, you can still do it, but there'll be a few little things that won't quite sound exactly like he makes them sound. Right, so it's in the key of E minor. Most of the solos in the sort of E pentatonic minor position at 12th fret. Most of it's kind of up there. But he starts with a quite tricky run which leads into it. So just at the end of a verse or a chorus, just when he finishes singing, he does this little run which leads into the beginning of the solo. So it's not, I wouldn't class it as part of the solo, but you probably want to put this bit in before it goes into the main solo. It's quite difficult, this part. What we've got to do is, even though we're in E minor, he's actually playing in this sort of 5th position. We've got to play the 5th string, 5th fret, with 1st finger, hammer on to 3rd finger at 7, so it's, and then do a muted note on the same string, which is just where you relax your 3rd finger, and relax both fingers actually, and just play the strings like that. And that's important because it helps you get the rhythm and the phrasing if you get these muted notes in. Then we go to the next string, 4th string, play a 7, pull off to a 5, and do the same on the 3rd string. So it's, and then he plays an A, which is 7th fret on the 4th string. So that's, and then 2nd finger on the 2nd string at 6, which is an F, pull off to the E, 5th fret, and then your finger has to kind of roll across to get the 5 on the 3rd string. So it's, and I wouldn't go like that, I'd actually just roll the finger so it gets the string, it's quicker. So what we've got so far is, and then on the end of that, you want your 4th finger to play the 8 on the 2nd string and pull off to a 5. And then that kind of slides up. And that leads into the beginning of the actual solo, which is in 12th position. So I'll just play that whole phrase slowly. A bit quicker. Really nice, typical Knopfler phrase. And then the actual solo starts on a bend, which is 3rd string, 14th fret, 3rd finger, as you would normally do in this key. That's probably the most common bend. And we're bending it up a tone, which means the 14 sounds like a 16. It's very bluesy, this part. And then cover top 2 strings with your 1st finger at 12th fret and play 2nd string, 1st string, 2nd string, and then add little finger to get the 15 on the 2nd string and play that. So put it all together, it's, and then same string, 2nd string, play the 12, hammer on to the 15 and pull off to the 12 again. You could use 3rd finger if you prefer for that. And then we play the 15 again, but this time it definitely needs to be 3rd finger. So even if I hammer on and pull off with that finger, I'm still going to use 3rd finger to play the note again afterwards, because we bend it. So bend the 15 to sound like a 17, 2nd string, and add a little finger underneath, 15, play that note on the 1st string, pick the 2nd string and let the note come down again. So that whole sort of beginning of the actual proper solo is this. Really good, perfect beginning to a solo. And then the next phrase, we start on 14 on the 3rd string, play that note, and then go to 2nd string and play a 12, hammer onto a 13 like this. and then play a 15 second string. So and I think it's important to get that hammer on, don't pick that, the 13. And then you play the 12 again, second string, hammer on and pull off to 13. So it's 14 again on the third string, 12 again on the second string, back to the third string, 14, pull off to 12, and then a 14 on the fourth string. So this is natural minor scale he's using here. So it's pentatonic minor mostly, but a little bit of natural minor, that note. Okay, so I'll just play that phrase. And there's a bit of a pause there, and then it's almost like an afterthought. He plays a 12 on the third string, a G, and slides down. So that whole phrase with the 12 as well, up to speed. Okay, then the next part is a 15 on the first string, pull off to a 12. Now I would use third finger for this just because of what comes next. So we go, and then I play second string 15, but bend it up a tone. And it's easier to bend with the third finger than the little finger, so that's why I'm in that position. Now the note I'm bending that to, this is a D note, and I'm bending it to sound like an E, which is that. And what he does is he plays that, and then plays an E here, the same note, twice. And does that again, the bend, plays the note twice. Like that. So you're actually playing the same note, you're just playing E's, but because one of them's a bend, it sounds a bit different. So with the first part, it's. And we do it once more, but this time there's only a single 12. And then we play 15 on the first string again, bend this one up to a 17. Now that's the same bend we just did on the second string, but it's much harder on the first string, depending on your strings. These are 10s, and it's a lot, on this guitar, it's a lot harder to bend the first string than the second string. It is on any guitar, but this one in particular. So I'm having to put a lot more effort into bending that than I did on this one. So that whole phrase up to there is. So you notice I'm using my second finger to help with that bend. My first finger's not helping with the bend. It looks like it is probably, but it is not. It's just touching these to stop them twanging if I accidentally catch one on the way down. And then we play that same bend again. And hold it there, pick the note again so it sounds like a 17 and let it come down to 15. So from the beginning of that phrase. And then we play 12 frets on the first string, hammer on to 15, and then play 12 again. And then a lovely little bit here where he does a pre-bend. You probably know about pre-bends. If you watched any of my other lesson videos on Dire Straits solos, then you'll know about pre-bends. If you haven't, then have a look at some of them. So it's 15 on the second string, bend up to 17. Because it's a pre-bend, I'm not playing it. So just bend up, play it, let it come down to 15. Then he slides down. So the whole phrase is. Okay, I really like that last part. And then we've got to jump right up to 17, but it needs to be first finger really, this, so it's a bit of a jump. 17 is here, and I'm covering the first three strings, the thinnest three strings, and do a rake. Again, you'll know about this if you've looked at any other Knopfler lesson videos I've made. But just very briefly, if you were using a pick, you just strum down quite quickly, not as fast as a strum, but quicker than individual picks. And if you're using fingers, Mark Knopfler style, probably thumb first, second. So you kind of do that, turn your hand and you catch the third string, second string, first string, like this. And as soon as I've done that, I relax this hand so that you're just left hearing that last note. Okay, and I'll go into that a bit more depth in some of the other videos. So we play those three, the rake, and then play a 19 on the first string, then a 17, and then a 20 on the second string. Now, because of what comes next, I'd be inclined to maybe use third finger for the 20. So you'll see why when we get to this next part. So we've done. And then there's a little fast phrase that he plays, which is second string 17, hammer on and pull off to 20, and then play a 19 on the third string. I'd use second finger for that. So that was. It does it quickly, and he plays it 3 times. It's literally like that fast. So with the rake it's, and then we play the 17 again that your finger's already on the second string, and then play a 20 again on the second string, bend it up to 22, hold it there and pick it and let it down. Then 17 on the second string, 20 on the second string, pull off to 17. And play that 19 we did earlier on the third string. And then repeat that, 17, 20, pull off to 17, 19 on the third. So that little bit was. And then here, we've got to swap to third finger, ideally. You could do it with your second finger, but I find third easier. And flatten the third finger down over the second and third strings. Don't worry if it touches the first string, it doesn't really matter because we're not playing it here. So you play those 2 strings together, second and third, and then bend them by pulling them downwards. And you're trying to make them sound, like this is the tricky bit, you're trying to make the second string, that's a 19, sound like a 20, but the third string, which is a 19, you're trying to make it sound like a 21. Now that's not as hard as it sounds. It's kind of what happens because the third string's easier to bend. By putting the same pressure on when you bend, you're probably going to bend the third string further, like this. And afterwards you let it come back, I forgot to say that. So it's like this. So the effect there is that we've got 20 to 19 on this string and 21 to 19 on this string. Doesn't have to be too precise, but it's just like this. And he does it again, but this time it's a pre-bend. So you pull the fingers down, pull the finger down, play it, and then let it back to 19. And when he does that last one, he does a volume swell, which he uses a lot. On a pedal. I can do it with my volume control on my guitar, so I'll play it, bring the volume up, and then let the bend down. Hopefully that came across on the video. That's the end of the solo. So I'm just going to play the whole thing really slowly, and I'll pause after each phrase. I'll include the bit that leads into it. And then that's the whole solo, but there's the lead guitar. As you know, with Dire Straits songs, he tends to play lead through the whole song, really. So the guitar that played the solo then does a little, I think it's the same guitar, does a little riff, something like this. And then very faintly you can just hear another volume swell doing this, which is a 14 on the 3rd string. I haven't checked that one, but that's just from memory. I think it does something like that. That's the whole solo. It's not the hardest Mark Knopfler solo, and it's certainly not the longest. So it's a good one to have a look at. But if you want a real insight into his playing in a bit more detail, a bit more depth, have a look at my recent one that I did on Wild West End. It's actually 3 videos because there's so much in it, but it's just all the lead parts. And that's a good one to, if you want a real insight into how he plays. But this is just a perfect little solo, really good one to do. So I hope it works okay. If you've got any questions, please put them in the comments. And if you want to see any other Dire Straits solos or any other solos or anything really, lessons on something, then just let me know and I'll do my best. And if you click like if you like this one, and subscribe as well if you haven't already. Okay, thanks. Bye.